What's going on, everybody? It's Joe coming at you with a brand new video, and I am so excited because I am finally able, now that Photon Hypernova has released officially, to give you all my P.U.N.K Plunder Patroll deck profile for February 2023, just post the latest set. I am very hyped for this deck, honestly. Unfortunately, there are a few other decks, such as Branded Bestial and Trap Tricks and things like that are going to be winning me over a bit more, so I probably won't actually end up playing this deck too much, but I will probably test it out here and there around the local scene once I can get everything for it. Speaking on that, there will be some stuff I'll need to explain a little bit through the video, however, I hope you all can forgive me for it. But you'll probably know, especially if you follow me on Twitter, which you totally should for news, channel updates, and more, that I've been hyping this deck throughout many different tweets and videos for a good few months now. I think, honestly, it has a lot of potential, and even though I'll probably say that it's probably on par with the Adventurer engine, both of them have their huge strengths and weaknesses and benefits over each other, but this is definitely my preferred build. I really love the way that the engines combo together, and I will be showcasing a combo at the end of the video, showcasing just why I really like the engine. I'm not going to waste any more time though, let's go ahead and get right into my P.U.N.K Plunder Patrol deck profile for the February 2023 format post Photon Hypernova. Starting us off, of course, with the Plunder Patrol monsters, we have, let's see if I can fit up all in a frame here, 3 copies of Whitebeard, the Plunder Patrol Helm, 3 copies of Bluebeard, the Plunder Patrol Shipwright, 3 copies of Goldenhair, the newest Plunder Patrol, who ironically is not the newest Plunder Patrol by a landslide now, and 3 Black Eyes, the Plunder Patrol Sea Guide. These definitely aren't the only Plunder Patrol monsters, of course. I will get to the Redbeard in a moment, y'all. I didn't cut a Redbeard, but these are the 3 ofs that I play in the deck, and all of them are such amazing cards. Like, all of the Plunder Patrol cards are just so fantastic in this deck. I won't go over too many explanations, but Whitebeard being able to summon literally any Plunder Patrol from deck is not only really good for getting the free body on board, but now with Plunder Patrol Ship Yord, it essentially serves as like a rota. Like, there's been so many times where I've summoned a Black Eyes from the deck so that I can send it to the grave and then add it back later off of the Yord. I think it's just such a great way to combo with the card, even if it does lock you. Bluebeard is one of your best extenders. It's a similar thing where Whitebeard can summon it from deck, or you can summon it from hand or grave with a different way like Black Eyes, and then summon it from hand with its own effect later on by adding it back with Yord. Goldenhair is probably the strongest card in the entire deck. You can literally summon her like 3 separate times in one turn, once with a normal summon, once with her in-hand effect, and once with her in-grave effect. She's just so much extension and gas for the deck, and probably, like I said, the best card that you could actually see. And then Black Eyes was just what the deck needed at the time of its release. Getting a free monster reincarnation from your graveyard, you probably haven't heard that name in a while, getting a free reincarnation from your graveyard as well as specialing this onto your field is really nice. Admittedly, the second effect to summon from your back row doesn't really come up, especially not as much anymore because we aren't playing shipping for the equip from deck, but it is definitely still something that can come up. And one sec, let me see if I can get the focus a little better. I don't know how well the focus looks like, honestly. The lighting in my room is very natural right now compared to usual, so it's kind of like iffy right now. But I think every single one of these cards is just so absurdly strong, and even seeing multiples of them doesn't really matter, because that means you just have them in hand to utilize their other effects, or just to have them as fodder for later when you use these ship effects. And then, of course, here's the obligatory 2 copies of Redbeard, the Plunder Patrol Matey. I'm not gonna just like ignore Redbeard, y'all. Redbeard is still a fine card. It's not the best, especially like considering that like equipping actually isn't even all that important anymore except for with your lists, because most of the time you're either gonna board break with your other ones, or you're just gonna like, your effect, for example, doesn't require an equip, it just gets a little bit stronger. But Redbeard is still a really good card, being a level 4 non-tuner. The deck needs more non-tuners. And then also, the equip effect is pretty nice when you go for something like Mowerk or Bran, but mainly it's just a target to summon off of Whitebeard or Liss or any of the other effects like that, in case you need the extra tag out for his effect. And that is it for the Plunder Patrol lineup. So onto the P.U.N.K lineup, which I will have a little bit of explaining to do. We have 2 copies of No P.U.N.K Xiamen, 2 copies of No P.U.N.K Foxy-Tune, and more like No P.U.N.K Foxy-Tune, and 1 copy of No P.U.N.K Deer Note. So yeah, jokes aside with the no thing, I just thought of that on the fly. So unfortunately, I was not able to locate any Foxy Tunes or Deer Notes at my locals. Honestly, I expected a lot more, not only between like people just having them beforehand, but also people picking them up for Gold Pride. But like, no one had them. And so unfortunately, and then also Foxy ended up spiking because of Gold Pride anyway, which I was really salty about. So unfortunately, I was not able to pick them up IRL just yet, and I was going to get well-made proxies from my friend M-Rocket from the channel, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to pick them up off of him in time, so I'm going to have to show blank cards here. However, I can keep them on the side of the screen, obviously, and I can explain what everything does. So why the P.U.N.K engine is probably the biggest question. So the P.U.N.K engine really shines because not only does it do a similar thing to the Adventure engine in that it gets discards out of your hand to trigger your Plunder Patrol effects and to get them back off of Yord, but also they get really easy level 8 synchro access off of just one card, and of course Yord is a generic level 8 synchro, and he's usually what gets all your plays going, or it's what usually gets all your plays going. I don't think ships really have genders. Usually they're female though. I don't know. Yord is Yord. Just an E-Telly or a Xiamen plus any Plunder Patrol card is full combo in this deck, and I think that is really cool. I love the way that the engine synergizes with everything, and I like it a bit more than the Adventure engine because while the Adventure engine provides a lot more protection from things like Nibiru, and then of course a bunch of ways to utilize the Omni Negates and everything like that, plus it's a very recursive engine, the P.U.N.K engine is a lot more combo heavy and gives you a little bit easier access to your combos without having to rely on drawing too specific of cards. So basically, Xiamen adds the Foxies discard Plunder Patrol cards out of your hand to get the Yord effect, and then the Deer Note helps you make the Yord, as well as summoning back a Xiamen, and keep in mind that Blackbeard is actually generic, it just requires at least one Plunder Patrol, so you usually utilize the Xiamen, or technically Foxy, but you're just going to get Bistioled, and the token that you summon off of Yord in order to go into your Blackbeard. It'll be a bit better explained in the actual combo, but for now, that's what I have to say about the P.U.N.K cards. So I actually do play a few hand traps. I think hand traps are significantly stronger this format, so I am on 2 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 2 copies of Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion, and 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Admittedly, this was built a little bit when, before the ban list, sorry, back when Tier was still, like, undisputed the best deck. That's why there's the Ghost Bells in here. Honestly, you can probably replace them with Nibiru. It'd probably be a little bit stronger, because while Ghost Bell is an Earth-free Yord with Emblem, Nibiru is a light, so that makes a list even easier to access so that you can use your Blackbeard to go into something else. But Bell is still pretty strong against things like, you know, Castra Birth, and then a bunch of the rogue matchups that you could end up going against, because this is probably going to end up being a very diverse format, similar to Difo format in that regard. Ash is really strong against things like Branded, of course hitting the Branded Fusion if they don't bait it out with something. And then Imperm is Imperm. I mean, it's probably one of the best turn stoppers against Castra if they don't open enough extension. And so I think all of these, other than this being swapped out maybe for the Nibiru, are very solid hand traps. I should also mention, by the way, before I put them all away, hand traps are actually good in this deck in particular because you have a lot of draw power. That is another reason why we play a lot of hand traps as well. So onto the back row lineup, we have 3 copies of Plunder Patrol Shipyard and 1 copy of Terraforming. Shipyard is such a fantastic field spell, just continuous searching instead of just being on activation, that also ends up putting things in your grave and triggering the effects of things like Whitebeard, Bluebeard, and all of the other ones that have trigger effects that I lack to mention. It's just so fantastic. The stat boost is also huge when it comes to going for OTKs with this deck, which are actually very common because you can just spam out large ships even easier than ever now. And then the recursion is also very nice because not only are you recurring this, you're also recurring whatever you had in your spell and trap zone like a Redbeard so that you can use it for a different combo. Honestly, probably up there with one of my favorite field spells of all time. And then we have the one of back row pieces for Plunder Patrol. We have 1 copy of Emblem and 1 copy of Butte. Both of these cards have their strengths and their weaknesses. Emblem is pretty fun in the mirror match, and also because you can actually equip this to the Yord token that you give to your opponent, so you can just basically get a free monster there, though it can be a bit bricky and usually ends up just getting discarded off of something like Bluebeard. And then Booty is kind of a brick going second. I guess you could say it's kind of Booty in that regard, but it's just such a good card in matchups that are very poor for you. For example, something like Fluanderies, while it is a bit easier now because Statue is gone, there'll probably be a little bit less Fluanderies players, except for like the Harpy's Featherstorm Turbo people. This does make it a bit easier because we finally got the Earth ship, but there's no Wind ship just yet. And then any other matchup, for example, like if they summon Unicorn and Cash, but you want to get like a Moark out or something, you can just use Booty to fix all of your problems, not to mention its amazing recovery as well. Plus, at the end of the day, if they do end up up breaking your hand, you can just use them for your combo and discard them to add them off of Yord later. There's also 3 copies of Emergency Teleport. Of course, we are playing a Punk build, therefore E-Tele is one of the strongest cards in the entire deck. Again, E-Tele or Xiamen plus any Plunder Patrol card is full combo, and what I really love is that E-Tele isn't a hard once per turn, so if your opponent decides to say ash the E-Tele instead of just ashing the Xiamen or the Foxy, they'll actually just end up probably running into another one, because you end up seeing multiples of this all the time, in my experience at least. I'm not just on hand traps, I'm also on a few board breaker cards, that being 2 copies of Forbidden Droplet and 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talent. Droplet in this deck in particular is so strong. Like, you get to not only negate all of your opponent's things, but you also get to trigger all of your Plunder Patrol effects that you discarded, or dump things like Golden Hair, or even like an extra Foxy or Xiamen that you don't need in your hand. Hell, you can even send a Shipyard just to reset it later. Admittedly, Droplet isn't the best board breaker right now because of Castora. It can be very annoying trying to resolve Droplet against them, but against literally anything else, this is a very strong power card. And then Triple Tactics Talent, of course, hand traps are coming back a little bit, and so obviously you want to be able to get some free draw power off of that, though stealing it is also very nice. And then finally we have 1 copy of Called by the Grave. It's Called by the Grave, not much to explain there. Ash Blossom is a card and you want your Whitebeard to resolve. So that's it for the main deck. Onto the extra deck, we have 3 copies, unfortunately mismatch rarity, of Blackbeard, the Plunder Patrol Captain. I love this card, and you play 3, by the way, because you actually can end up burning through a lot of them, especially if for some reason the Castora player ends up ripping one of them from your extra instead of something else. This card is like the heart and soul of the entire deck. The draw power, the quick effect of it, it basically sets up like your entire combo, and it's probably like one of the coolest Link monsters out there. And then we also have 1 copy of Salamangreat Almirage. So in this deck in particular, Almirage is such a stupid powerful card, because let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4 of your Plunder Patrol monsters in particular can all be linked off into Almirage after being normal summon, and for Golden Hair especially, it's just a free 1 card Blackbeard. Like, there's no downside to going into Almirage with Golden Hair. And because Blackbeard is generic, you can literally normal Golden Hair, link into Almirage, discard a card, summon Golden Hair back, and then link into Blackbeard. Like, it's just that easy. So those are the only links we actually play. We have 2 fusions, that being just the 2 copies of Plunder Patrol Ship List. This card is even stronger than ever before, because now you don't have to rely on your opponent playing lights, which, I mean, they are playing Nib probably anyway, so it's not that difficult. But you don't have to rely on them playing lights or opening ship shipping. God, that card sucks. You can just easily go into Yord and then get into the list on your turn 0 without your opponent having to lift a finger. It's so nice, especially because a card like this is just so strong in a format like now. Also, List's effect to summon from the hand specifically instead of just the equip zone has actually come up a lot more than I expected in testing, because you can just like extend your combo so far by just having 1 extra monster from your hand in this deck. Like, this deck can combo very hard. And now the moment you've all been waiting for, the one, the only Plunder Patrol Ship Yord. It finally came home, baby. We love Yord in this house. This card does everything. It adds things back from your graveyard to your hand for later plays. It puts itself in the scale so it can immediately use its scale effect. The scale effect gives both players a token of any attribute you want, allowing you access to literally any ship in your extra deck. And then on top of that, just leaving it on the field is such a strong play, because all your opponent has to do is special summon a monster, you get a free Plunder Patrol card from your deck, and if it's equipped with something like a Redbeard after making it, you get to special a Plunder Patrol from your deck. And on top of that, it's a completely generic level 8 synchro, making the P.U.N.K engine just so absolutely strong. This is one of the best legacy support cards I've seen for an archetype in a long time, and I am very happy that we ended up getting it. We also have 2 copies of Plunder Patrol Ship Bran, of course Bran or Braun, however you pronounce it, I don't know. I know it's just Swedish, I think, for blaze or something like that. Actually, I think it's burn. Braun, burn, that actually makes a lot of sense. But this card's just very nice for clearing out back row against back row heavy decks. It's also a fire, so you can use it if your opponent goes into like an Ash or something. But mainly, I think my favorite part about it is the 500 attack boost. The 500 attack boost comes up a lot. And then this is a flex spot and should probably be a different card, but it's also another one that I didn't actually manage to pick up. So I'm playing one copy of Adamancipator Risen Dragite, so this should probably be a white aura whale, but I just completely spaced picking up a white aura whale. It's like $1, if that, and I just didn't pick it up. But Dragite is still also a very good option, so White Aura Whale really shines when it comes to going second and breaking apart boards, but Dragite can not only do that, but it's also a spell and trap negate, which is really good against things like Hashrathiosis. If you do end up maining the Nibiru, or even siding the Nibiru, you can get free board breaking that doesn't even target, and it bounces, and it's for any card, I believe, on your opponent's field, just from excavating the top 5 of your deck. So yeah, it should probably be White Aura Whale here, or it can be literally anything you want, but Dragite also fulfills its purpose very well. For the Xyz monsters, we have 2 copies of Plunder Patrol Ship Moark, one of the best cards in the entire deck. I really wish, though, that the material being detached would trigger the Plunder Patrol monsters. I think that is literally the only thing I don't like about Moark, and the only thing that turns me off of the Wind ship potentially being an Xyz, because god, it's like, when you detach the material from this card, you're just getting no value out of it except for the protection. So like in all the times that I could hard make Moark and it would probably benefit me a little bit, I just feel like I'd rather make a Yord or a Brawn or even like a different Synchro monster. Like, Moark is an amazing card, don't get me wrong. Like, the banishing is, like, so good. So good. But when it comes to hard making it, god, I just wish it was a little bit better. Also, as a heads up, if you are playing Nib, Moark can't banish the Nib token, so you gotta play a different out to the Nib token. We also have 1 copy of Abyss Dweller because Tier is still a deck, and then not to mention, Abyss Dweller can just give you free wins against, against graveyard decks, sorry, and it boosts all of your guys up a lot. And then we have 1 Bahamut Shark and 1 Totally Awesome. You know, free Omni Negates, I heard, are very well, especially when they give recursion. And then the Bahamut Shark isn't even dead on the board because, again, Blackbeard is a generic monster, so you can literally just use the Bahamut Shark and a Plunder Patrol to go into Blackbeard. So that's it for the extra deck. I'm going to go ahead and show you the best combo in the deck, or the best, I guess, specific set combo that I know of, being Emergency Teleport and literally any Plunder Patrol card. And so I will see you in the combo. Alright, y'all, this is a super simple combo that literally anyone could do, and it uses very little resources. And I'm showing it with Emblem of the Plunder Patrol to showcase that yes, it's any Plunder Patrol card, not even monster. So again, a very simple combo. We're going to start by activating Emergency Teleport, allowing us to special summon from our deck our No Punk Xiamen. Of course, we're going to use the effect of Xiamen, paying 600 life points and then running into time. Now, we're going to add our No Punk Foxy Tune. Again, I do apologize that I don't actually own the cards just yet. But next, we're going to activate the effect of Foxy Tune. Remember that Foxy discards itself for cost, not both cards. So if you get Ashed, it's not the end of the world most of the time if the rest of your hand is serviceable. So you're going to discard itself, and then as the effect, discard the Plunder Patrol card to summon from your deck the Punk Deer Note. We have a level 5, as you can clearly see, and a level 3 tuner, so we're going to take both of these, and we're going to make our Plunder Patrol ship Yord. This will trigger the effect of the Deer Note. Usually target the Xiamen unless you're going second, you want the damage and I think it's life point gain off of Foxy Tune. Remember though that it can be Bystial. Foxy Tune is a light, whereas Xiamen is an earth. So you're going to summon the Xiamen. So here we finally get to showcase the effect of Yord. So we're going to use Yord to add back the Plunder Patrol card that we discarded and place itself into the Pendulum Scale. Next up, we're going to use the effect of Yord, placing it back into the extra deck, and then now we get to create a token of any attribute we want to both fields. Usually we're going to do light, so let's give ourselves a light token and our opponent a light token. This is amazing against a deck like Cash that requires all of its zones to be open, and it's awesome in combination with a side-decked Rivalry of Warlords. And then now we're going to link our Xiamen and our token into our Blackbeard, the Plunder Patrol Captain. Of course, now our opponent has a monster of an attribute we desire on their field or in their graveyard, so we're going to use the effect of Blackbeard. We're going to equip itself, or if you have a normal summon, you can actually equip the normal summon, and we're going to turn it into a Plunder Patrol ship list. I like putting it in defense position, especially because the opponent will probably want to crash the token to get rid of it if they're playing a deck like Cash. And then remember, off of Blackbeard, we also get to draw 1 card. So that's actually it for the combo. Again, very simple, but it's still so strong because not only are you potentially locking a Cash player out, you also get a Monster Negate and Destroy that also searches. We have the Plunder Patrol card in hand in order to do it. And then we also got a free draw off of Blackbeard, meaning we are back to 5 cards in hand. The combo completely replaces the resources that you use for it, and we've only used 3 cards out of our actual deck. It's very conservative, but it's very useful, and honestly, it's probably one of my favorite combos to do. It's just so satisfying watching everything go off. Well, everybody, that's going to be it for my P.U.N.K Plunder Patroll deck profile for February 2023 post Photon Hypernova. It's a very fun deck, admittedly, even though I will not probably be playing it myself anymore this format because of other decks that I will be getting profiles up for. Again, Branded Bestial, probably get that after the Maze of Memories Chimera reprint, and then Trap Tricks, of course, I'm going to milk so many videos out of that. But I think this is such an awesome and fun deck that you can play, especially on more of a budget, considering that the adventure engine is still very expensive. And I'd love to hear if you have built it or plan to build it in the comments below. But with that out of the way, that's going to do it for the video. If you liked it, please be sure to leave a like, as it helps put this video and the channel into tier recommended. And if you like this content, you see more like it, like the rest of my deck profiles. Again, I have a bunch more goodies coming for you later on in the month and in the month of March. Then perhaps consider subscribing, because we're on our way to 5,000 subscribers by the end of 2023. Not to mention, it supports the channel more than anything else, and it's absolutely free. But once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. This is Aurora, signing off.